and 2, 1. Miguel Flores in the PlayMariachi Podcast. I'm going to take the P's down. So that's the one thing I noticed doing the first podcast is that when we say P, it spikes.
It's like,
yeah, it pops. So we're still adjusting levels. We're still trying to figure out where the good range is, where the not good range is. You know, we're not professionals. So what's going on, brother? We did a first podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited, to continue this. The first podcast went pretty good, and we got some
positive feedback.
Very positive feedback. Thank you all who commented on us and
everyone in YouTube land.
Oh yeah,
and on Facebook land. I created the Facebook PlayMariachi page. I got someone working on some logos very graciously. Another fraternity brother's helping us out. It's a good thing to be in a fraternity, man. You just have a network of people. Join a fraternity.
And sorry, it's, I just woke up a little bit ago. Sorry if I sound like Barry White this morning.
He's got the Barry White voice, or as I like to call it, Betta voice.
The Betta voice.
Sexy man voice.
I mean, I could always change it up and do
super.
Gracias por venir a Food City.
The Food City voice, the soccer announcer voice. Mm-hmm. So what are we talking about today? We were gonna get a violinist from Phoenix. He got himself another prior engagement today. So that was an opportunity, but we'll link back up with him soon. I hope.
Yeah, he wanted to reschedule. So
gotta hustle. Gotta make that money.
That's right.
Stripping on them poles. No, I'm just kidding. That's bad. That's not a positive image, and we apologize. I'm really bad. Like I usually hold myself together because like I said, I'm gonna get paid or time and money. Like, hey, I'm a professional. Okay, cool. When those two things are not a factor, I can be a real sarcastic prick.
No, and I've noticed that when that doesn't happen, you usually put on your traje, the one that has a Velcro down the sides. So I noticed
you can just rip it off.
That's right.
And you see the thong.
But hopefully we'll our violinist will reschedule, and we have some other people that are going to be coming in. Actually, pioneers here from Phoenix, the whole family.
Dope.
So
I don't know how we're going to fit them all in my office. We'll figure something out.
Yeah,
I'll have to rent a studio space for the podcast. It'll be like the Joe Rogan podcast, the PlayMariachi podcast. It'll be just as popular. That'd be dope. We get like 1 million people listening to this. That would be awesome. Mm-hmm. Just to spread the positive folklore and mariachi music. My hand is still jacked up. Sorry to go off on tangents, but I found some better tape, so I can a little bit better. Got my second stripe this week. That was encouraging.
And you told me about how sore you were performing last week.
Dude, I played like shit. So to my friends that I was playing with last weekend, I'm sorry. I played like total hot ass. It was really bad. Like I was snapping the strings on my guitarrón because I had no control. Mm-hmm. I could not gauge where I was at all. I was playing like a sixth grader. It was awful. Mm. So I apologize to the folks who had to endure my shitty bass playing. I understand that it was not as good as it should have been. You ever have to say that to a woman? Like, I'm so sorry. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. It was great for me. I know it's not good for you though. Ooh, see, more inappropriateness. I haven't had my breakfast yet. So you had a couple things you actually want to talk about in terms of group management. This is a big topic. So a lot of people run groups, and there's a lot of things that go on in running a group, man. It's a hassle. Mm-hmm. I've never really wanted to do it because I know that you got the client side, and then you have the internal side with the group members and expectations and demands, and what do you think about all that stuff?
Well, me personally, I would never be able to manage a group. I think it takes a special kind of person to do that. One who's, I don't want to say it has to be a leader, but somebody who's really organized, somebody who can put up with the BS when, hey, I'm trying to get these guys, I got to make sure, the client asks for 6 people. I have 6 people in my group. I got to make sure they show up.
Yeah.
It's very stressful, but like I said, there are very good directors, and it takes that special kind of person that knows how to do it, knows, and you got to know the business. You got to know how to talk to the client. Yeah. You can't just be like, well, we charge $5 $5,000 an hour, and we'll be there. You said between 7 and 8. Okay, because I'm playing on the opposite side of town, so I'll get there when I can.
When I get there, like, yeah, it's really really poor. I've seen a lot of that in my time. Not so much in Tucson, because there's a ton of damn dog. There's a ton of competition in Tucson. Mm-hmm. Shut up. Jeez Louise. They're precious little dogs, but they just have a little personality of their own. They don't like not being a part of this, and they hear people, they're like, they get pissed. Sorry, getting back to the point, I've seen that more in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Like, where, like, I got called to a group, and I'm like, all right, cool, let's get this done. I'll show up, 10, 15 minutes before the gig, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like Jeopardy,
Mm-hmm.
like, and then like 20 minutes after the hour they showed up. I was like, holy jeez, man, like, I'm not even getting out of my car.
No, and what happens? That's actually another thing to bring up here. When say 3 of your members are running late, you guys are waiting around. What happens? I mean, they come out, jump out of the car. I understand. If you're in an outside gig, and you're gonna be staying outside, in the backyard or whatever,
right?
Tune up.
Yeah, get ready.
But what happens when you run out of the car? Because this happened to me. I mean, I'm telling you because of personal experience.
Yeah.
I run out of the car and I'm just like, and the director and everybody's like, hurry up.
Let's go.
You don't even tune. You go in, and then if you step inside the house,
it's over.
It's done. Your strings are.
That first song is going to be from the Munsters. It's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
It's going to be in Dorian keys.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Definitely. You're going to be playing, Son de la Negra and key of F sharp.
F sharp. F double sharp, maybe? Because it's not quite sharp. It's not quite natural. It's really out of tune.
One of those.
Yeah, that's a big problem. punctuality.
So you got to show up on time. You got to tune your instrument. Yeah, we're going to start from the outside. And if you go on the inside, your instruments, it's, inevitable. Your instrument's going to be, go out of tune. But thing is, be prepared.
Be prepared.
Be on time.
Be ready for that, right? Don't have the unknown mess up your game and
mm-hmm.
screw with your timing and all that sort of. Then you start the gig on a bad note.
Oh yeah, that's what happens. And have consideration. I think we have to have consideration for other compañeros too. That because time is money.
Yeah.
It's
I got another one right after this, man.
Exactly. Why if my gig was at 8, why do I have to start at 8:15 and now I got to finish at 9:15?
Yes, exactly. And guys have families. That's the biggest. Let me just say this. I'm gonna get on my soapbox.
Okay.
Right? I'm gonna get right up on it. And the timing thing in any music profession, okay, especially music, is a very big thing. I take it as a serious. Unless you got pulled over by a cop, your kid just fell off the roof, or something serious, right? I take it as a major sign of disrespect to me personally, because what you're telling me is your time is less important than my time, and I don't give a shit about your time,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very disrespectful. Practice, I won't tolerate it at practice, because practice, I'm not getting paid for it, right? I'm taking my fat ass out of my house into the Phoenix heat to somebody else's place by a time. Everybody needs to be there early, ready to go. Yeah, you're gonna have fun with it, right? It's not the military. Like, hey, you're gonna BS talk, you're gonna hang out, right? You might even, whatever. But be on time. Everybody should be there at the same time to have the little, hey, what's going on? Yeah, all right, let's go, and then start, right? Gigs, it's like, man, it's big disrespect, and for me, I had some advice a couple of years ago from Tomas from the Candelas Guitars.
Oh yeah.
I was playing a lot of gigs at the time, and I was buying instruments, and I was just busy, right? Super busy. And he told me something once, and it's still stuck with me years later, that he said, you know what, dude? You're just like every other guy that comes in here, right? Especially in California. Like, that's all they do all day is play gigs, play chamba. They go out of town. They go on the road. He's like, before I got married, he's like, you're getting married, make sure you find time for your wife. He's like, before you know it, you're going to be like every other old school guy out here, and your whole life is going to pass you by. Mm-hmm. You missed your birthdays, you missed anniversaries, you missed holidays, you missed graduations, you miss all this shit because you're always playing the gig, right? it's kind of valuable, right? And so he told me that, and I thought, geez, man, I should really consider that. So now it's like just me and my wife here. I think, okay, now not only are you being disrespectful to me, but you're actually costing me something very, very valuable, very precious that I'm not going to get back. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get back the Saturday night with my wife. I'm not going to get back my cousin's graduation. And now you're showing up late, unprepared, and you look like shit. Hopefully you sound good. 9 times out of 10, the guy that shows up like that is not going to be the best performer at a gig.
And like you said, once they start the gig off on a bad note,
it just keeps going.
It's almost a ripple effect.
Yeah.
You know, like me personally, I'm a very perceptive person.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, like, you know, I know when someone's in a bad mood, I can feel it.
Yeah, you're like, oh.
Yeah, you know, it's not really the expressions on their face, but I could feel it. And then you just get that bad vibe, you know, and then everybody's just all bitter,
in a pissy mood,
and it really affects, you know.
They start calling songs like this song, that song, and it's like, oh, fuck, I could be at home right now watching Game of Thrones or something. So yeah, that's a big, you know, public service announcement for the PlayMariachi Podcast is show up on time, especially like we were talking about college level musicians, right? Mm-hmm. Oh my lord, being late in college?
Ooh, no.
Oh my god. I can't imagine. I can't even think of like the thought of I'll be 10 minutes late. Like it doesn't even occur to you. Mm-hmm. It's like it's just a house fire. I'll just go in. Like no, you don't go into a house fire, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing at that level. It's like if you're late, if you're not early, they're already like this guy. Next semester, this guy's out. Mm-hmm. We've been scouting people at high schools. You know, let's bring some new people in. This guy's out. Right. That girl's out. You know, we're done.
Plus, think, what are you going to miss the first 10 minutes?
Yeah.
That's not going to be repeated.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, don't do it. So timing, group management, everybody who agrees to sign up to be part of a group. Why do you sign up to be part of a group? Either because you love the music, there's good vibes, right? You're like, okay, I want to follow this group because they let me express my musical, you know, talent, how I want to express it. I'm not being constantly told how to play something. I'm just being told what we want to play. It's like, well, this is what we're going to play. You try to follow, if I write music for you, you know, maybe follow that structure, that I write chords a certain way, so I want to hear it, right? Maybe that's the case. Maybe I don't write music for a group, right? And I just say, these are the songs. These are not difficult songs. You should have some ear training behind your playing. Oh, that kind of leads into something you were talking about is sight singing versus ear training, right? Mm-hmm. But when you sign up for a group that way, you're signing on responsibility. You're going to be there on time. You're not going to take outside work other than the gigs that are not double lapping, right? So like if we have a regular gig, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we establish, okay, you're going to be here Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, what you do before or after, I don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. More power to you. I hope you're playing all day long. I don't care if I'm not. If you are, that's more power to you, right? Mm-hmm. You're ready to go. You're exercised, you know, and as long as you don't show up to the regular gig like I'm so tired, I just played 5 hours. I'm like, well, I don't care, bitch. Let's do this one, right?
You're getting paid as much as everybody else, and so you do your thing.
Let's do it.
Now, to the guy, this is another topic. To the guy or girl, mariachi member.
Most of the time, it's a guy. Girls are pretty gangster in mariachi.
That's true. They are. But to the mariachi members that and I'm hoping that there's not one in every group. I don't think there's one in every group, but there has been that issue where, you know, while the group that I'm committed to only has 2 hours on Saturday.
Yeah.
I just got invited to go play 6 hours with another group.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about that if you had a member in your group say, hey, I can't make it because I got, you know, something came up. They don't tell you, and then you find out they go and play 6 hours with another group.
That's pretty shitty. That's really shitty. You know, I would rather it be, hey man, you know, I'm strapped for cash. I just got an offer for 6 hours. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know what to do about this. For me, I'd be like, thank you for fucking telling me. Go play the 6 hours. I'll find somebody else, right? I'm not going to shun you, right? I'm not saying that you're out. If you need to hustle and make money, go hustle and make money, right? Some people, that creates problems in groups. That creates animosity. Like, well, how come he can go do this and who do that? Hey, man, if you're complaining about that, do you have 6 hours lined up? Do you have people knocking down your door to go sing and play? Are you going to work for 6 hours? It's like, no. Okay, then let's just play the 2 hours. You get your pay and learn, right? Get better. Get to the point where that guy who's getting extra calls is getting you get his work, right? Go after him, right? Yeah. This is a competition. This isn't everybody gets a trophy. This is a competition. Now, if the person tells me, I'm like, okay, thank you for telling me. First of all, I'm not mad. Maybe I'll feel a little disappointed. Maybe I'll start to feel a little insecure. Like, fuck, maybe I'm going to lose this person, right? Maybe there's something else going on that he's not telling me, right? But at the same time, I'm like, I need to now cover the restaurant, so I can go find somebody, right? And I don't feel like I was lied to. That's the biggest thing. Is like, just don't lie to me, right? Just tell me. When I started playing gigs in Phoenix, I told my director, I was like, you know what? I have to move. This move is going to cost me thousands of dollars that I don't have. I got 8 hours in Phoenix over the weekend. Is that fine? And he's just like, do what you got to do. I understand. Everyone has mouths to feed, right? Yeah. What do you feel about that though? Like if someone tells you that, like what we're trying to do with this new opportunity, and it's getting a little stressful because it's looking like it's going to happen, man. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen, and I don't know what it's going to mean for this Phoenix area. You don't know what it's going to mean for guys like us and people in Phoenix that are at that level of precision, and I don't know what it's going to mean, but it's an opportunity. Definitely. So we're gonna definitely encounter some of this.
Oh yeah,
going forward. So how would you handle it? Would you punch them in the face, cuss out their mom?
I would. I would definitely appreciate the honesty. Just be upfront. Because come on, we all know anything in the mariachi world spreads like fire.
Yeah, it spreads like
somebody knows somebody. hey, I played with him 2 weeks ago. Like, what do you mean you played with him 2 weeks ago?
He told me he was sick
out in Prescott.
He said his mom died
or something. Something. So I think if I were running a group, or hell, if it was even in my section, hey, I talked to the director, but I want to let you know, I'm not going to be here. So I'd be like, well, try to find a me a replacement.
Yeah, replace yourself. Don't make me do it.
Yeah, I think that's better than leaving it to the director who already has enough stress on their plate
shit to deal with. Yeah.
So I think if you find your own replacement, boom,
pretty solid.
It's solid.
That also puts responsibility on that person, because the person is now vouching for someone. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh damn, I got to find someone who's at least as good as I am, right? Assuming that you're good, right? Mm-hmm. Which we assume you're good. Benefit of the doubt is that you're good, right? Yeah. That's kind of. That's another thing with contention. It's like, I want to eliminate this. Oh, let's prove his worth. Let's say no. If you're here, you've made it this far. We assume you're good. Mm-hmm. If you prove otherwise, then it's like, oh man, this guy's not that good. It's a little tough, tough to follow. It's like being good doesn't mean you know every song in the world. Being good just means you work well with others and you have enough technique and theory behind you.
That's a good thing right there. Work well with others.
Yeah.
How? Okay, explain to me what work well with others to you means.
To me, working well with others. Okay, so if I'm going to just play with people I've never played with, right? First of all, I'm not going to be snarky. I'm going to be, very, I'm going to be outgoing enough to introduce myself, right? I'm not going to be the shy guy. That doesn't do anybody any good. So it's like, hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm Jason. Hey, yeah, I was recommended by Miguel or whoever. Like, yeah, I played this, I played that. I'll share with them a little bit of my pedigree if they ask. I'm not going to just dump it on them.
Yeah.
But most of the time, people say, "Hey, where are you from? Where'd you come up? How long you been playing?" The usual. They want to kind of get a feel. Like, is this a new guy? Is this an old guy? I'll share my kind of like a brief pedigree. Like, I played with this, and I've just been doing this since I was, high school basically. And then working well with others means listening, right? So if I hear the violin section or the trumpet section trying to drive pace, which might be the case. Mm-hmm. At first, I'm going to be like, okay, they're rushing a little bit, but, whatever, fine, right? I'll listen to, if I'm playing bass and I have a vihuela player who is not paying attention to me, right? I'm going to engage the person. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say, oh, no, like this. Now, if that person starts giving me a FU face.
There's plenty of those.
I'm going to be like, all right, this guy's not receptive at all. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty much just going to sit there and play the hour, right? I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to get shitty. I'm just going to play the hour, And
you're going to do that look, aren't you?
I might start getting a look. I have a look on my face where it's like, this is weird. Most of the time, I'm thinking, especially if I'm playing guitarrón, because I'm not a natural guitarrón player, right? I've only been playing bass since like 2008, I think is when I started playing guitarrón, which is like 10 years, which is not enough, right? That's advanced intermediate world, right? So I'll start getting a look on my face like, I don't quite get what's going on here, so I'm just going to kind of just follow and observe and, I'm just looking. I'm not pissed yet. I'm just kind of looking, right? Just like, okay, this is good. That's good. Mostly I'm listening to the trumpet. I'm trying to gauge with the trumpet. I'm like, okay, all right, we're good. That to me is working well with others, having a positive attitude, not getting like, oh, this guy sucks, man. He can't play anything and getting pissed, It's like, no, people have varying skill levels, right? And some people think they're better than they actually are because maybe they know a lot of rep. They're like, I know every song ever written. Like, oh, well, good. And you start playing.
Well, how do you play it?
How do you play it? It's like you play rancheras, like in the video I made a couple days ago, like the little video log I did about playing a ranchera. Every strum has to be the same. A lot of people play like a dotted eighth note and then a quarter note, and it's like you have an and at the end of the measure. It's a 3/4 timing, guys, right? So you're taking away time off of a ranchera. You're rushing the bass player now because now even if the bass player doesn't know the count, just intuits and you're like, this feels weird. I feel like this guy is rushing me, and it's because you're playing dotted eighth notes, right? So you're playing just a little bit less than a full quarter.
With that, in what I've seen, like not so. That's why I love having conversations with you because you're more, you're more technical, with the music, Me, I'm, more visual.
Yeah.
And so what I see sometimes, and I'm sure our viewers can agree with that, with the rhythm section, is people lift their hand too high.
Yeah. Conservation of energy and motion.
People, when they're strumming, their hand goes above their instrument.
Yeah.
The pull. Same thing.
Goes all the way up here.
All the way up here.
Yeah.
That you can start on a time, and then all of a sudden they're behind, or and then they catch up, and then they go behind,
and they start struggling because they don't understand. Like, why am I always falling behind time? Why am I always rushing? And it's like, okay, like, do you want me to tell you? I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, you got to do it like this. I'm not your coach. I'm not your teacher. If you really want me to give you an honest opinion, I'll give it to you, and it's not going to be a shitty one, right? So there's this thing that Nati Santiago used to teach, right? And then Randy Carrillo used to amplify that teaching on the bass is conservation of motion, right? I think most good bass players know that you develop your muscles in your forearm, your shoulder, your back, right? Your fingers, and then you get your calluses on your thumbs, and you get a good 45-degree angle with the neck, really good posture, really good position, right? So you don't have to be like, pulling, right? You get a good leverage from a good position, and you can play, without really putting that much movement into it, right? That smoothness leads to quickness, right? You can play faster scales. You can play dun 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 dun. Or you can play arpeggios a lot easier, right? So if you are this wide range and you're pulling, you're not going to get there, right? And if you never think to stop to check this is why they say technique, right? I think technique is an overused word, so it's starting to lose some of its meaning, right? It's
lost a lot of its meaning here in the Valley.
It's like, oh, well, technique is just technique. I'm like, no. Technique is a very specific thing. It's like, have you ever thought about how you hold your guitarrón? And this is one thing years ago when I first started playing bass that Frank Grijalva came to a practice. Whew, that guy's intimidating. He's awesome. He knows. He's like Master Yoda. He just comes into your space, and it's like Master Yoda is just this guy, and he can just force push you out through a window, is like if he wanted to. And he was telling us, he's like, when you're playing guitarrón, keep a good 45-degree posture with the neck, so that you have all the leverage from your fingers. You're not using strength; you're just using leverage. And he's like, when you're playing difficult notes like E flat, or F sharp, or F, it's simple stuff, right? Keep your thumb in a certain position so you have good leverage, right? And it's nice and tight, and your thumb behind the headstock when you're playing an E flat. Things I had never thought of. I was like, oh wow, and then I started doing them. And at first they're hard, right? First you got to stretch, and then once you get used to it, you just go boom, 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 and it's just like, wow, I can play so much better now, right? One thing that Louis used to teach me was the thumb position. It's like if you want to play good on the bass and the brass, you have to get your thumb all the way under there.
Mm.
And I used to be like, but it hurts. It hurts my thumb. And he's like, do it. Just do it. And eventually it won't hurt no more, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, stop playing over here. Start playing over here. Work your way towards this position. And it takes forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I use that. And so, yeah, now I can play 5, 6, 7, 8 hours on bass. I'm still smoked the next day, right? My fingers are still like throbbing the next day, but I can make it through the gig, right? Except for last weekend, I played like ass. My fingers were so out of touch, man. It's like, oh my God, it was really embarrassing.
I think it's more important, number one thing important is your comfort zone and
yes.
comfort the way you're, obviously
how
you're
you
holding, how you position yourself, because the same position that you hold it in may not be the same position I hold my bass.
Because I have like super lurchy arms.
Oh, so now I have T-Rex arms or what?
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying you have baby T-Rex arms. I'm not saying that you have Trump arms. I'm just saying that I have a very long reach.
Yeah.
And so this is a lot of mass to control, right? It's a lot of mass to control playing. And so, yeah, comfort is a big thing, right? Mm-hmm. How you position, where you place your feet, your legs. Mm-hmm. Like how you do it is a little different than how I do it, right? And so, yeah, it's good stuff, right? Position, comfort, time management. Now, what was the next thing you want to talk about?
We were just on the subject real quick about teamwork. And the way that I was taught, first, we always say stay humble.
Yeah.
Don't go in with an attitude, especially when you're going to play with a new group.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to play it my way, and that's it.
It's like, okay.
Because you're going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, no one wants to.
You're going to stick out like a sore thumb. If you go in there, you change. Say you have, the first violinist is going to give you the beat. Well, you're going to follow that beat. Yeah. No matter if in your head you think, well, the song is too slow, the song is too fast. Hey, he set the beat. You're there to help them out.
Yeah.
Okay, you're there. They're paying you to help them out. So you follow direction. Yeah. That's my opinion. Another thing is you go in the group, and you follow. You follow. You become. You have to have that ability of being universal.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. You can't go over there and whether I'm playing bass, whether I'm playing vihuela or guitar, I can't go in there and have a smug attitude. And we see that a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's train yourself to be universal. Yeah, you're gonna play with the groups that maybe their sound isn't gonna sound, their sound isn't gonna be that great.
Yeah.
And you want to be there, you still want to echarle ganas, Have pride in what you're doing. And then you're going to have groups that sing. I mean, like, wow, like, man, they sing better than they play. Or you have a group that plays better than they sing.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to find both.
You have to fit in all categories.
Exactly. You have to, like I said, the only word that comes to my head is universal. You have to be open to everything, go in, and set yourself in place.
Right.
And it's simple as that.
So how do you get to being communicative across all different types of groups?
Learning all these different study styles. Listen.
Get
most
recordings.
Important.
It was funny when I was 19 playing restaurant gigs with some people. I didn't know anything, right? I just knew the arrangements that I had learned in high school, and I'm starting to listen. And I had a guitarron player in Tucson, and I was working with him, or he was working with me, rather. He was trying to teach me. He's just like, we're trying to work with this kid. He doesn't know anything, right? And it was really bad. And he got pissed one time, and he leaned over to me. He's like, "Pinche Jason, compra CDs." and I'm sitting there with my guitar, and I'm like,
I would have lost it. I would have lost it, man.
And I thought, oh, damn, I finally got on his last nerve. Because I had theory, I had some good practice, right? But I didn't know a lot of rep, hardly any repertoire, right? And I'm trying to learn this, and he just got fed up with me one day. He told me that, and I was like, okay. So the next thing I did, I'm going to the U of A. So I went to the U of A School of Music library, and I'm downloading all of Jorge Negrete, Pedro Infante, Javier Solis, Chente, Miguel Aceves Mejia, Lucha Villa. I'm downloading, all of these. Everything, because there's tons of it. There's shit tons of it. Metric shit tons of music.
Metric shit tons.
Yeah, that's a formal engineering unit of measurement. Metric shit tons of music, right? So I copied it all to my computer. I still have it. It's in there. It's in that little black box. And so you listen to all these things. Then you go back to like some writings and recordings that independent artists in Mexico did. Like Sabor a Mi is not just a one-off song from Vargas. Mm-hmm. There are composers that write this music. You know, you have what's his name? Agustin Lara, right? That's another composer that would write for everybody. You know, mm-hmm. So you just listen to all this music and you study it and you don't really memorize it. You kind of internalize it, right? You're like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. I listened to that just last week. I didn't memorize all the chords. I didn't write it out, but I listened to it. I know how it sounds. Let's go through it, and then you can survive, mm-hmm. right? Playing really complicated music, really high level stuff, right? It's like when we play high level arrangements here in Phoenix, it doesn't always sound good, right? Mm. And maybe it's something I haven't played in a long time, and just all of a sudden we're trying to take this out, and you're like, ooh, boy, okay. Sometimes it sounds good though. It's like, oh wow, we could actually play that thing, and mm-hmm. it didn't sound half bad. When it sounds really bad and someone starts giving up, like, I don't know this, it's like, oh man, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, why do we even do that, man? We just set ourselves up for failure. It was awesome. Mm-hmm. It was awful. It was awful. Awesomely awful.
Yeah. No,
so
I think
study.
Study. And for the groups out there, I think you guys could all relate. You know, our friends out there. You know, when somebody calls out, let's say Alma Llanera.
Ooh,
okay.
Complicated song.
Okay. If you guys are gonna play Alma Llanera, you know, and somebody calls in the group, please stick and make sure that everybody's on the same page with the same arrangement. How many arrangements are there?
There's tons.
Oh, and
every group.
And when you have
that.
Oh yeah, and when you have a group, because I've played that and I was like, well, are we doing Vargas or what arrangement are we doing? Are we doing the old Vargas that just goes right into the music, or are we doing the bum, 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 you know?
Yeah. That's a very complicated arrangement. Uh-huh. People think, oh, it's old. You bring old stuff back to the forefront,
oh no, man.
And they're just like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
And like, that's 60 years old.
Yes.
You've just never heard it before.
If make sure that you guys are on par on what arrangement you guys are gonna play, because how many times have we played, and not just that, any song that, you know, nobody, that Camperos has their arrangement, Vargas has their arrangement, Sol has their arrangement.
Even for a simple song like Hablando Claro, mm-hmm. every Sol, Camperos, Vargas, they all have an arrangement, mm-hmm. and it's all different. So yeah, you'll start in one, mm-hmm. you'll start in maybe the Camperos arrangement. By the time you start going through the next section, you're in the Sol arrangement. Tres días.
You can play 50 million ways.
Yeah.
You can play the Lola way. You can play the Camperos way. I mean, I think that's most important. I think for all groups is that, you know, make sure you guys are on the same page, because if you're throwing, you know, 5 different arrangements in one song, it's gonna come out like capirotada.
Yeah, it's not gonna congeal very well. It's gonna be like, ugh. It's gonna be like spilt milk all over the floor, man. You're just like, ooh, that's a big mess, and I gotta clean that shit up. That's horrible. At least
it's like buttermilk on the floor.
It's like, at least it's starting to curd. At least I'm getting paid. Good Lord. You know, that's one thing I've noticed, and that's you know, for even high level players, people that are maybe running groups. If, like you said, be humble. If you have not done your homework, don't fake it. This is not a fake it to make it gig. Like, so if you're calling a complicated song, and then I ask a legitimate question like, okay, what arrangement? And you don't know that there's 50 arrangements for it. All you know is the one you've always played. You're like, oh shit, what is he talking about? And I'm gonna look stupid if I say the wrong one. It's like, and that's my job, not to be snarky, not to be, you know, overly sarcastic, like, oh, this guy's running a group and he doesn't even know his he doesn't know the arrangements. Like, that's my job to be humble, right? And say, so okay, which arrangement are you talking about, or what do you hear in your head, right? And then, oh, okay, that's the Vargas arrangement. Okay, he doesn't know, he doesn't have the breadth of knowledge of all the repertoire, because there's millions of fucking songs, right? I have 30 days of music on this thing. 30 days. You know how on iTunes it calculates how much time? I have a month worth of songs on here. I could literally hit play and autoplay on this.
And it'll play for the whole 30 days.
It'll play for 30 days without repeating a song. You know? So, yeah, there's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But if you haven't done the research and you don't have the appreciation for that and you don't have the humbleness to swallow your pride, you're not going to know what someone's talking about. And then on the receiving end, you're going to get frustrated.
And you're the one who's going to look like the jackass.
You're going to look like a dick. Yeah. And no one's going to want to work with you.
Ask. Don't be scared to ask. It has nothing to do with pride. It doesn't make you look stupid. Just ask. Hey, you know, what arrangement are we going to do? Oh, this. Okay, yeah. You know, and take it out.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, you know, they can take it out in 5 minutes. Some people take it out in a couple days.
Yeah.
But whatever. You asked. That's what you got to do.
Preparedness.
Be a team player.
Be on time, and then be prepared. Ooh, that's something that, you know, I used to tell people in the group I used to play with in Tucson for the last like 7, 8, I think almost 10 years. Holy crap, about 10 years. They are very conscious and self-conscious against competition, right? So preparedness, I think, is the cure for self-consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Practice. And so I used to tell them this. I said, you know what? The only person, and this sounds condescending and it sounds like arrogant, but it's true. The person you should be most concerned about is the reflection you see in the mirror. Mm-hmm. I don't care how well somebody else plays with respect to myself. I look at them and I say, ooh, I got to do as good as that, right? So the next thing I'm going to look at is the mirror. Like, how is that looking compared to what they're doing? I'm more focused on this one as opposed to that one.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing for people to do.
No, but then once you master, what happens with your group? You guys freaking sound amazing.
You sound amazing. Yeah, when everybody takes a gut check and looks in the mirror and says, how much do I suck? How much am I good? Right? And being poor and sucking is not a negative thing that we want to shovel under the rug. We want to see that, right? It's like a cancer. You want to know if you have cancer so you can treat it, right? You don't want to die from it.
No.
So you look in the mirror and you say, do I kind of suck right now? You know, me? Yeah, I kind of suck right now. I played a gig. I thought I could just pull it out. And I'm like, ooh, that was bad. That was poor. So now, over the next couple of weeks, my practice, you know, I think about my practice time. I used to ask people, how often do you practice? And I always get this, ooh. Like, oh shit, okay, you don't practice at all. I see what's going on. You only play your instrument when you're on a gig. You play more than you practice. It's really bad. It should be the other way. So I have practice time every day, you know, and it's not like I'm super proficient, and I haven't practiced obviously for a couple of weeks before I played last week, and I sounded like ass, right? So I routinely have...
Shame on you, by the way.
Yeah, shame on me. I'm a fraud. This PlayMariachi Podcast is a fraud. It happens. So that's the point, is that we're all human. It happens, right?
Oh, yeah. Of
you
course.
get busy. You get your mind on things. You're like, yeah, I got enough in the reserve that I can just pull it out, right? Well, your reserve runs out at a certain point, and that muscle memory starts to go to shit, right? It goes away. You got to practice. And so now my practice time is going to be back to the scales, you know, back to the guitarron. That's all I'm going to do for a while until it comes back, till I fill the tank, right? Keep your practice time precious to you. Like, no, this is my time to look in the mirror and to get better, right? I sucked. Okay, let me get back. I'm good now.
We have 24 hours in a day. You can make some kind of time there. You know, that goes with, well, you know, I think when you're under pressure, when you are in a position... Not saying you, like how you played last time. Right. You know, obviously I wasn't there.
Maybe
if I would have been there.
Ask like, a couple people. Jason sounded like shit last weekend. It was awful.
But see, when you realize that, hey, you know, I didn't play well, obviously that tells me that person, you know, cares about what they sound like. Yeah. So I think when you're in that position, you want to better yourself. Yeah. Definitely. You want to
get better.
Now, how do you better yourself? Well, I shouldn't say how do you better yourself. How do you begin the structure? And that's the next subject that we got to talk about here. Sight reading, just focusing on sight reading, or focusing on your ear.
A big contention.
Both. Learning the basics before you start reading, so you're reading what you just learned. You're more of the technical. You're going to give more of a technical answer, I hope. So how would you go about that? Okay. And how would you tell me, hey, because you know I obviously want to teach here, you know, and the way I was brought, the way I was taught was I had to learn my manicos first. Yes. I had to learn my manicos. I had to learn my chords. I had to learn primera, segunda, tercera. I had to like literally write it out, like, you know, my triads, GBD, you know, or you know, everything all the way down. And once I got the basics of that, then they started throwing some, you know, maninitas de colores music. Ooh. You know, and so
it's a long pedigree.
Yeah, it's like, you know, where do you you know,
where do you start?
Where do you start, and how do you start? And if and our viewers too, you know, if you can give, you know, some feedback on that. How did you start? How would you start? How would you go about it?
Yeah, man, this is a big point of contention, right? Especially with certain folks, if they are very proficient in one way, but they've completely ignored the other, right? So if you have a person who maybe wasn't trained classically, knows enough to read music where they're like, I could probably spend 2 hours and read the piece, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's your level. But you could play them something and they just start playing it. They have an enormous ear training ability, mm-hmm. right? First of all, we have to remember that mariachi music is a folklore music. There is some authenticity behind offbeats and accents and timing, and that timing can't necessarily be put into sheet music. Mm-hmm. Most of it can. Most of the dynamics you can account for if you're really good at notation and you're a true, you know, masterful composer. You can put all that in there. But then the person has to intuit what they're reading and understand, oh, you want me to do not just a crescendo, but you want me to chase after the trumpet in the bass section, right? You want to do a call and response. You can notate that, but you have to remember, first of all, it's a folk music, right? So you get that down. Now, the technical side of it is, I think you need to be able to do both. I need to be able to listen to a piece, identify all the chords, which is not simply a folk music and poor man's way of doing it. Ear training is a focal point in classical music training. So there's a component in classical theory where they will sit you down, play it on the piano. I think every other day you do this. Mm-hmm. And it's ear training. There's books for it. And so they'll play all the tonic. So like if you're in C major, you can hear what C major always sounds like. It's always C, E, C, E, G, C, E, G, right? Mm-hmm. You hear that. You'll hear, then they'll play a seventh. They'll play a D natural. Dun. Mm-hmm. You're just like, ooh, that's a seven. Mm-hmm. If they play dun, it's a major seven. It's like dun dun. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, okay, that's a half step. Mm-hmm. And you just go on and on and on and on. And what my TAs used to call the red pen of compassion. Mm-hmm. You would write this out. So you would hear what the person is playing, and you would write it on manuscript. So the writing would be the full part writing, so the bass note and the three voices, right where you think they were playing, right? Mm-hmm. And you would write the bass note. So if they're playing an inversion and they're playing like a 7/4/3 or 7/6 or you know a 1/6 or a 1/6/4, and you hear, well, we're in C major, and then you'll hear da 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 da, and they'll play the G. Duh, right? They'll play the G note in the bass, and you're like, oh, that's a 1/6/4 inversion. All right, I got it, and I'll write it out. And by the time you get to the 2-year stretch, shit is complicated, right? You're playing a lot of chords like dun 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 dun. Those are the underlying bass, right? And then the chords are being played, and you got to write the chords. Mm-hmm. And if you write something that is musically incorrect, like if you write parallel motion, or if you write like unresolving sevens, the red pen comes out wrong. You lose points, right? That's your grade. That's your grade in the class. So you need both, right? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of guys and girls that play mariachi music, they think that being able to listen and take it out is a lesser level of musicianship. No, it's a higher one. Mm-hmm. It's a higher level of musicianship. You need it. It needs to be sharpened. You need to be able to do it. Now the music notation. You need to know how to count, right? You need to know your key signatures, right? Now, for armonia players, we don't play any of the melody. We play, all of our stuff is harmonic, mm-hmm. right? So all of it is chords. Mm-hmm. You don't need to necessarily know how to play runs and scales and stuff like that unless you're going to play classical guitar. But you do need to know how to count, and you do need to know how to build chords. And the only way you build chords is by learning how to sight read, mm-hmm. right? So most mariachi notation will have the pop chord symbol. Mm-hmm. And you'll see stuff like F sharp minor flat 5/9, and like, what the heck does that mean, right? That's a lot of stuff, right? So I know where F minor is. They're saying F sharp minor. Okay, it's F sharp minor. Well, what's the flat 5/9? You got to learn in the scale. There's a position from 1. You start 1 tonic, 2, subtonic or supertonic. I think it's supertonic, or subtonic, supertonic. What is it? Subdominant, dominant, and then your 6 is usually where you have your sustain, and then your 7 is your I forget all this shit. I used to have it memorized, right?
Yeah.
But there's a structure behind everything, and so a 1 is your tonic, and so if you're playing a C major chord and they write a flat 5, then you're gonna take your 5th, right? So your C, what is it? C. I'm losing my notes already. So it's like C, D, E, F, G. G is your 5th. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna play an F sharp. You're not going to play a G flat. That's not how you would say it. You're going to play an F sharp, right? And you're like, oh, F sharp. There it is. So you need both, right? You need both. And if you're writing for a group, you have that should be like automatic if you're writing for a group, right? And so most people will listen to an old recording and they'll identify all the chords. They'll identify all the melody. And in the middle, they'll have the trumpet transposition. And then they'll just go. They'll just go from there. They'll write it all out. I'm not saying you have to be a composer, but for sight reading, when someone gives me a piece of music, like my previous group, I had a really good process of, okay, first I'm going to practice it on vihuela, because that's just natural to me, right? I want to get the authenticity down. I want to see how it's going to feel. If I'm playing guitar, then I start memorizing it on guitar, and then I'll start playing it on bass so that I know where the timing is, where the accents are. It's like, okay, that's where I'm going to switch. Okay. And by the time you get to that, you got the whole thing memorized. All you have to do is show up to practice and congeal with everybody. And you're done. You're done. So you need both. And it's years of both.
Yeah, I think it's super important to have both. One, when we're out playing chambas, where it's, whatever they call out. And if, we talked about it last time, knowing the patterns.
Yeah.
If you're playing a polka, you know what pattern is. Most polkas go in the same pattern.
You might miss a chord, but you're going to keep your time.
And same thing with, playing progressions and boleros, all that stuff. But when you are given sheet music, and whether it's a concert style group that you're playing with, or maybe you have somebody that writes the music for the group all the time, you got to know both. It's super important to know both.
Yeah.
That way you guys are all on the same page.
Everyone's there. Everyone's ready to go. When you have a group like that and everybody is at an equal distant level, maybe someone is really good, knows a lot of rep, knows how to read, but doesn't write. Okay, I'm in that group. I don't write music for people. I don't. It's a hassle, and it takes me forever to do it. I'm sitting there. I'm just like, I don't really have time for this. Okay, let's just learn my part and get going. Right? Some people like to write. They have creative ideas and transitions, and they're like, ooh, I know how I could get from, Jalisco to, No Te Mata, or whatever the song is, right? And everybody should be at least able to play it. That's why the name of the podcast, PlayMariachi. PlayMariachi. Just play it.
Everybody say PlayMariachi.
Everybody, 1, 2, 3, PlayMariachi right now, please. So I think that's about it, man.
Yeah.
We good? We touched on some of this stuff?
I think we're good. I think we've touched a lot of the subjects,
Rambling.
a lot what people can relate to.
Yeah.
And please, we like to hear your feedback.
Absolutely.
Your comments, any advice you can give us too. Please give us your opinion, because we are here. We're all ears.
We're venturing into uncharted territory in the Phoenix area. We don't know if we're going to be able to dominate. We don't know if we're going to fall flat on our face. I think we have an equal probability of both. It's 50-50 at this point.
That's for sure.
But we're going to make it happen, one way or the other. So, all right, guys. Thanks for watching the PlayMariachi Podcast. Follow us on our Facebook page. The Facebook page will be linked below. Like the video, share the video, post it to whatever boards you guys want to talk about mariachi. Sorry, it's not in Spanish. I know we get a lot of shit for not doing this in Spanish, but we live in the United States. For people that are listening in Mexico or in Europe or wherever, it's just, we speak English. We speak Spanish, again, but most of this is in English. So, All right, man. Any last words?
Everybody have a good time. You guys playing out chambas. You guys play your best. And
kill it.
And we'll see you next time, man.
All right. Laters.